Hello everybody, welcome back to Beverly Hills, California. Right now we are on North Maple Drive, and if you saw my video a couple weeks ago of Dean Martin's home, we are only 2 blocks north of that home right now. And today I'm going to take you by and show you the final home, well, the longtime home of comedian and actor George Burns and his wife Gracie Allen. Now, George Burns called Beverly Hills his home most of his life. He lived in this home for nearly 60 years. It was the main home that he ever owned, and it's just up here. But a little bit of background on George Burns. He was actually born Nathan Birnbaum in 1896, and he was an American comedian. He was an actor, a writer, a singer, a stand-up comic, and he was one of the few entertainers whose career actually successfully spanned through vaudeville, radio, film, and television. Now, George Burns was married to Gracie Allen, and she was the love of his life. They hosted the George Burns and Gracie Allen show together. That ran for, I believe, 8 years. But Gracie Allen passed away very early on. She had a history of heart disease, and she actually passed away of a heart attack at the age of 69 years old in 1964. Now, that was very early on. George Burns never fully got over it. He never remarried. Gracie Allen, she was laid to rest at Forest Lawn in Glendale, not too far away from here. But George Burns visited her gravesite every month until his passing over 30 years later. After her passing, George Burns kind of immersed himself in work. He took a role in the Sunshine Boys, and that role was originally meant for his close friend Jack Benny. But Benny's health was deteriorating at that time, and he passed before filming started. Now, George Burns took that role, and ultimately he won an Oscar for his performance, and his career kind of saw a revival. At the time, he was 80 years old, and that was the oldest person to ever win an Academy Award at that time. Now, he never had any desire to retire, and he continued to perform up till his 100th birthday. And at the age of 96, he signed a lifetime contract with Caesars Palace in Las Vegas to perform stand-up comedy, and it included the guarantee of a 100th birthday show. But when it came to that day, George Burns was too weak to actually deliver the performance. On March 9th of 1996, only 49 days after his 100th birthday, George Burns passed away in his home here due to heart failure. He was laid to rest next to Gracie, and it was 32 years after her passing. But it was an interesting fact that he never remarried. He never seemed to date after that fact. But this is the home right here across the street on the right-hand side of the screen. And I'll cross over here so you can see it. But this was the home that George Burns called home for the longest time. I mean, almost 60 years. But people back then could drive by Maple Drive on this house. They could drive by this house, and they would see back here in the garage area on the right-hand side, he would park his Cadillac in there, and you could often see him walking down the driveway, and he would come down and meet people that would just be walking around, or if people would come in from out of town, or the Star buses or whatever else, and he would come out and actually talk to people. There was a video clip where he was sitting on this spot right here and talking about it, but he actually wrote his name right down here, or his initials, GB, for George Burns when they laid the driveway, and it's still here. Now, I'm really not sure who owns the home right now, but this is the home that George Burns shared with Gracie until her death, and George Burns lived here himself until his passing at 100 years old. But he actually passed away here in the home. The home was decorated very nice. I'll put a picture in here of one of the photos inside the home. But George Burns loved to have classy decor. He liked antiques and things like that. But he lived a very good life. And as you can see, this home, it's not behind all kinds of gates and everything else like a lot of stars of today would be. He enjoyed being here. He loved this house. And there's a pool in the back, and he used to walk around the pool so many times I forgot how much, and then he would do push-ups, he would do sit-ups, but that's how he credited himself with staying in shape. Now, I should also note that George Burns also was laid to rest at Forest Lawn, Glendale, and here's a photo of their final resting place. I always thought this was a beautiful home and very simple for a star of George Burns' caliber. But thanks for joining me today, and we'll catch you on the next video.